Hey you guys, this is Anne Marie, the Anti-HR HR Lady, coming at you guys with a video today where I'm going to talk a little bit about things you need to look out for when you are interviewing for a new job or getting ready to sign new hire papers to ensure that you are not signing away important and valuable rights during the hiring process. But first, who am I? I am Anne Marie. I am an HR consultant and an avid traveler by day and night the rest of the time. You may know me on social media also as Ball Girl Will Travel, and you can follow me for my adventures solo traveling as a woman over 50. But what I do for a living is I'm an HR consultant and I am also a licensed attorney. And I do my HR consulting work centers around helping my clients uh, navigate difficult HR situations where they can't get resolution from their own HR department. And I also help my clients identify discrimination at work and negotiate their way out, oftentimes with a severance package. So if that is of interest to you, feel free to contact me. The link is in bio and watch my video so you can learn more about ensuring that you know what your rights are in the workplace. So what I want to talk about today is around employee rights and making sure that you are not signing away some of your valuable rights at hire. I've noticed in a couple recent consultations with clients that several of them have found as we have gotten into negotiating their exits from discriminatory hostile work environments, that they may have signed documents that have already signed away rights that they should be negotiating at separation. Specifically, I'm finding that some of them have signed documents. Some of them are sometimes statements at hire called confidentiality policy agreements, proprietary information and confidentiality. And basically what the employer has had them sign is something saying that they can't talk about their employment after they leave employment. Some of them have non-disparagement clauses, which are clauses that say you can't say anything negative about your employer or do anything that they believe threatens their reputation, etc. After hire. And people are finding that they signed these things during their new hire process. So it was put in front of them when they were hired. Sometimes they didn't even read the document or they thought it just covered confidentiality of work information, which is pretty common. And they don't realize that the terms of what they sign extend beyond their employment, which means that even after they no longer work for that employer, they are still bound and can be sued by their employer if they violate the terms in those documents. So what I want to put on your radar is I know that, when you're looking for a new job and you get a job offer and you're really excited about this new job and nothing bad has happened yet. So people tend to just sign, sign, sign. And now with, everything being electronic and online, a lot of times you're just clicking on a button and it's saying yes to everything. And you're not even carefully reading everything that you're signing. And I want to caution you to make sure that you know what you're signing at hire so that you are not signing away rights that you may have. And one of these things that you might do and that I recommend that you consider doing when you interview for a job is to ask as a part of the interview whether or not their policies require that you sign documents that bind you to anything after you leave the employer. And you can tell them examples are non-disclosure agreements, confidentiality agreements, non-disparagement clauses. Now, some employers might immediately decide, or some recruiters might immediately decide that you're a problem because you asked that question. Well, guess what? That's a good thing because that means you probably don't want to work for that employer anyway. Another thing you might do is once you get an offer, you might ask to see any documents that you will be asked to sign before you accept the offer, because you want to get an idea of what the policies of the organization are. And again, if an employer doesn't want to share that with you or doesn't want to give you that information, then you might reconsider whether or not that's a place you want to work, because they shouldn't be concerned about sharing that with you if they've already extended an offer. But what you want to look out for is any document that tells you that you are bound to any kind of, you can't talk about your employment, you can't say anything negative about your employment, you can't disparage your employer in any way. even after you no longer work there, they're trying to keep you quiet. Be careful about signing something like that, because these are all negotiating points when you get to a place where you've experienced discrimination, and you might want to talk about it. You might want to be able to go into onto social media and other places and talk about it. And you don't want to be put in a position where you're muzzled for fear of being sued because you signed something you didn't realize you were signing when you were hired. So this is something that a lot of employers are starting to use them, especially in corporate spaces. They're sliding them into documents. They're calling them confidentiality and proprietary statements and agreements, but they're requiring your signature, and they're going beyond confidentiality of work business. Normally, employers used to, have you sign something when you became hired, or they would have something in their handbook that said, you can't share work information, or how they do business, that kind of stuff. That's pretty normal, right? And sometimes they might have you sign something that says you can't talk about those things after you leave. Sometimes they would say, you can't try to hire people that used to work there after you leave, right? But a lot of times they would put those things into agreements depending on if you're in a management position and so on when you're leaving. And that's normal. But what a lot of them are now doing is sliding language in that is also one-sided, non-disparagement clauses that say you can't say anything negative about them after you leave, and also, or sliding it in as a part of their confidentiality, and also saying you can't disclose anything unless it's in a lawsuit or something like that about anything that happened to you, even if what happened to you or what they did to you was illegal. Be very careful about signing anything that uses that kind of language. Ask questions about it, make sure you understand what it means, and be prepared to walk away. One of the things I always tell people is that the best time to look for a job is when you have a job. Why? Because you're less pressed and desperate if you already have a job and you've already decided you want to leave because you're not happy there, but you have the time to look for something new that you want to do. You're in a better position to be more discerning about what you will accept and what you will not accept in the next job. But when you're out of a job and you really just want to find a new job because you need the income, then sometimes you make the wrong choices and you end up jumping from the frying pan into the fire. So keep that in mind as well. But whatever your situation is, be careful about what you sign. Ask questions. Remember, in interviews, you're not only the person who's answering questions. You should also be interviewing that employer to make sure that that's the kind of place you want to work. And so you want to know if you're going to be working for a company that's going to try to muzzle you no matter what they do wrong. They're going to try to keep it a secret, because one of the most important things to employers nowadays especially is risk and reputation. A lot of them know if somebody puts something out on social media, it can ruin their reputations. People may not want to work for them. People may not want to buy their product. So what a lot of employers are now doing, rather than correcting the bad behavior, they're just trying to put policies in place to make sure that their employees can't talk about the bad behavior after they leave. So be very careful to look out and make sure that you're not signing rights away that you should be able to have, and also that you're not signing rights away that would be very helpful for you in negotiating your way out of a discriminatory and toxic work environment. If you have more questions about that, or you are concerned about being put in a position to sign something that you're not comfortable signing and you'd like help with figuring out how to negotiate that, or you have something that you need, a work environment that you need to get out of and you need help with figuring out how to do that, please feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is in the link in bio. I do what I do because I want to even the playing field for employees. And so if you need help with an employment situation, do feel free to reach out to me. I'm Anne Marie. I'm the Anti-HR Lady. HR may not be your enemy, but they're definitely not your friend. I am. See you in the next video.